Mind you, me and Sylvia Anderson, you've never seen a foxtrot like it.
Scanning for audio.
Welcome to a Tin Dog podcast, marking the end of the first year of Capaldi. Well, actually it's not, because apparently we'll have something on Children in Need Night, and we'll also have, well, the Christmas special, which I also think is actually in the can. So, welcome to the last but two Tin Dog podcasts talking about Capaldi's year. This isn't to say that the Tin Dog podcast is ending in any way. I'll still be here, reviewing books, DVDs, Blu-rays, and big finishes, for as long as you care to download them. So, Death in Heaven, part 2 of the season finale. Yeah, I've got this theory, and I think I should share it with you. We, and by we I mean the sort of people who record podcasts or could describe themselves as extreme fans. Yeah, we. We are the abusive boyfriends of Doctor Who. Just bear with me while you listen to this. We are the stalkers. We are the ones who know every single fact. We know where they are. We know their locations. We know where they're filming. We know their real names. We don't just know the spurious facts about the show. We know everything. We've read all the files, to quote a certain scarf-wearing / tie-wearing character. Now, in Doctor Who the TV series, the existence of the companion is primarily there in order to provide a voice for the casual viewer to say, Doctor, what's going on? This has kind of faded over the last few years because Moffat has proclaimed that everyone is a Doctor Who fan. Not quite true. The casual viewer still has the questions asked by Clara or whoever happens to be in the role of the companion, and that's fine. So, Oswin's death. Slightly annoyed, slightly more affected by this than I was by Adric's death when I was 10. Slightly more annoyed. Yes, I could see her demise coming a mile off and was merely praying that it wouldn't happen because Oswin is us. She represents the people who know all the facts. She represents the abusive boyfriend because we're going, Doctor Who, dance for us, dance for us. Oh, you're not dancing for us as half as well as you used to last week. Last week you were a much better dancer. Perform for us now. We demand it. We deserve it. We're better. We're trying to keep you in your place, TV series that we love. Our love is warped. Our love isn't pure. Although we think it is. Our motivations, our thoughts, our deeds about the show have been warped by our perpetual adoration. We wanted something back from the dead, just like Clara. So Oswin's character gets bumped off. She represents to us and to Moffat. Us, the fans, the extreme fans. He's giving us a good kicking because we deserve it. Because we're always going to judge things badly, because we're always going to read the files. So to hurt us, he destroyed that character. Now, when the Brigadier got sucked out of the aeroplane, we kind of went, oh, he's really going for it this time, bumping everyone off. That's a bit much. And as the Doctor plummeted down, you just thought of River Song and the TARDIS materialising with the swimming pool so that she could splash, and at least he could save her. Because once you're dust and not shrunk by a tissue compression eliminator, turning you into an action figure, well, you're kind of sunk. So yes, Oswin represents the fans' love of the TV series, because we would dress like the Doctor, because bow ties were cool. And if she'd survived and come back again, what would she have worn, apart from a pair of shiny shoes? Giving someone a bucket list in Doctor Who is the equivalent of kicking their bucket for them there and then. I have, of course, many more things to talk about, but that's something I needed to get off my chest.
Well, this is a bit exciting.
What's happening?
Well, to cut a long story short, looks like we might all be going home.
Home? From the afterlife?
Well, I said afterlife. I was being tiny bit poetic. And Nethersphere's just a cool name we came up with during a spitball.
What is this place?
Well, you have to think of it as a data cloud. You know, for storing data. In this case, it's the storage of recently deceased minds.
We're in a cloud.
Sort of cloud, yeah.
And what's happening to it?
What happens to any cloud? And it starts to rain.
Are you telling me we're going back? What, back to our bodies?
And the extra good news is there's been a bit of an upgrade.
Did I like this story? Well, it filled an hour of my life. I'm not as fond as I could be, but it is a season ending, and it's a two-parter, and nothing ever lives up to its first part, unless the first part annoyed me. The BBC have apologised. They've defended Dark Water, Death and Afterlife plotline. Their apology actually contains spoilers. Now, I can let you go away and read it just by doing a simple search, but basically they're apologising for everything I was ranting about last week, so it's not really worth going into. However, I also managed to spot something. This is not a news story. This is an advert. It contained some minor spoilers, the original release. And this reminded me of, well, the interview with Ben Elton that appeared on the BBC website, quoting his reaction to the Michael Gove comment about Blackadder. You read it and you go, it's a bit late in coming, but I'll read up about this because I know Ben Elton knows about history. And what it actually is that on the 6th of November, hidden amongst the text, his new book's coming out. So it's an advert promoting his new book. Perfectly reasonable practice, if not a little bit annoying. And that's what this apology is. It's not, strictly speaking, an apology. What it is an advert. An advert for watching episode 2. Were you offended? Well, the questions you've asked will be answered in part 2. Yes, they will be answered. But it's even more bad taste to turn an apology into a commercial. But I'm enough talking about the stuff around the episode and emotional reaction. Can we talk about the actual episode? I suppose we can. Death in Heaven. By far the only mentioning of the word heaven is in the opening titles. Anyone applying logic, just like Oswin, can work out that indeed, yes, the Master has changed gender. Another example of how she represents us.
Who is she?
You'd never believe me if I told you.
Because I thought she might be the Master, regenerated into female form. Your childhood friend responsible for a number of previous incursions.
That was fairly quick.
We do have files on all our ex-prime ministers. Well, she wasn't even the worst.
But more importantly, anyone paying attention to this episode can see quite clearly that they haven't learnt a thing about how to do the Master since John Sim. Proof that you can't really have the Master back and have him know that he is the Master in the modern era. The modern era just doesn't work because Moffat writes him as Moriarty, and he indeed writes Moriarty, and Moriarty and the Master as a character are the same. John Sim did it as written. Whether he liked the performance or not, he was doing exactly what RTD told him to do. And here we have the just insane Master. The motivation for the Master, creating an entire army just to give the Doctor, does make sense in a exceptionally warped way, but it just doesn't make sense in any other way. Just to show off that they can do it. No, not for me, no thanks, take it away, do it again, bring it back when it's better. Of course, on top of all of this, we have the thoughts about Clara. Here's something that you may or may not have considered. Is Clara pregnant? Think about it. Mr. Pink from the future has a family connection to Danny Pink. He's quite clearly from the DNA. He has Mr. Pink's surname. Without his existence, the storyline of Listen will be a very different thing, and it could, arguably, result in the Doctor being a very different person. So, let's take it as read that time knows what it's doing and will provide the same ending if the story itself changes, to quote Gallifrey. So, version 1. Clara isn't pregnant. Then the whole of the storyline of Listen didn't happen and possibly the Doctor is a different person. Number 2. Clara was about to tell Danny something that wasn't just I love you. At the beginning of the last episode, it could be argued, although none of the post-it notes had the word pregnant and an exclamation mark after it. Thank you, HD television. But If she is pregnant, she had that reason to tell him, and, more importantly, she has reason enough to lie to the doctor. She has reason enough... Well, you get the message. If she is pregnant, just like Terminator, history will unfold the way it was supposed to in the first place. It is the line of least resistance, and is boring, and more importantly could result in, well, Clara coming back for the Christmas special. I, for one, am not particularly looking forward to her coming back, if ever she does, because she's done, she's spent, and just like Tegan leaving at the end of the Dalek story back in the 80s, she's had enough. Fair enough. She was going to tell the Doctor the truth. It looked like it, and the performances of Gemma Louise have been wonderful. But storyline-wise, you can stop now. You can just stop. It stopped being fun. Because we have that wonderfully performed, exquisitely filmed end sequence where they just hug each other over each other's shoulders, and just like every soap on earth, they both pull a face once they're over because you can't see their expressions, and the Doctor knows that hugs conceal lies. They only conceal lies when you're in a narrative, never in real life. And that's the beauty of a hug. That's why you feel safe. So, the Master, and I'm not going to call her Missy anymore, decides to tempt the Doctor with the location of Gallifrey, which of course is a lie. But that does mean that you can't have a Doctor Who plot that basically revolves around the sort of thing your mother used to say when you'd lost your house keys. Did you look in the last place you left it? No. That we can be grateful for. The performance of the Master, I can take or leave, and wish I could leave. Yeah, I wish I could leave. The Scottish accent was coming out so much more than last week, and it was just, well, not very good. Yes, she was performing to the gallery, and the gallery was the Doctor. Fair enough. Using the voice to phone and say, yes, Clara, phone this man. But why was she orchestrating this? Why had she selected Clara in the first place? Did she know she was the impossible girl, or was it just any old person could do to become the impossible girl? Or was the Doctor trying to be saved by the Master? We just don't know / care. Oh, another quick question. The aliens / robots from Robot of Sherwood, their entire spaceship ran on gold technology. So they turn up at Cyber World and go bang, 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 knock, knock, knock on the door. Hello, we want to come in now. And the Cybermen go, nope, none today, thank you. Just like some sort of Python sketch. We don't want any of your goldness round here. And they get told where to go. And of course they wouldn't be interested in robots anyway. Yes, flying Cybermen are terrible. And that opening St. Paul's thing, well, we've seen that in Mortal Engines, done so much better with a such better weapon. The seeding of Cyberman DNA, that's got to have been done by the Master. So, I can justify the existence of 51st century Cybermen today because the Master was using cyber technology to provide the Doctor with an army, not to provide a new invasion for the Cybermen. This was not a cyber invasion. This was the Master creating an army of the dead for the Doctor. I didn't get the whole I'm an idiot trying to sidestep his way out of the conversation. It just didn't speak to me. And then when Danny decided to monologue, what's the point? I am so pleased that he managed to get put inside his own body, which was a definite stroke of luck, as was his suit being defective. All strokes of luck that I'm sure could be fixed by time travel as a storyline. Did I enjoy it? More than I hoped I would. Did I like it? Not so much. And then when the flying brigadier turned up at the end, I could hear Gallifrey Brace melting. Because I could just hear people ranting and raving, going, no, you should have had him back earlier, and you know what, Doctor Who production company, you know you should have had the Brig back earlier before he died. And why do Cybermen look so sad when they put their heads on their chests like that? Because it's ridiculous. It's like mime school. Yes, the Doctor finally saluted the Brigadier, but you know what, I can live with that. It's Danny monologuing with the Master there that threw me. Hasn't he seen The Incredibles? Or even as my wife said, Captain Caveman. You never reveal your plot or your intention. Yes, just like Craig, the power of love can override cyber conversion, but you know what, so can not having the suit switched on. So yes, this storyline now makes any episode of CSI pointless because you can't exhume any more bodies. I wonder how many times that'll be forgotten in the future. And yes, hate will drive you onwards. And then you can get back all the people who ever tried to get you down. But you know what? I don't care about the Master's motivation. The Master's done, just like Moffat said when he was lying about the Master coming back. I don't care. I have enjoyed this series. I truly enjoyed the performances of the central characters, and the fact that Danny could act wooden just led credibility to his performance as a Cyberman. I'm glad they won't be coming back. And as for the return of the child to the tingly, warpy thing that allowed the Master to enter the Matrix and back again, that actually threw me and didn't make sense until the second viewing, well, I don't care. I actually thought Clara was going to, well, kill herself and end up inside the Matrix with him. At least they'd be together. Perhaps that's the old romantic in me. Not Orpheus and Underworld, more Romeo and Juliet with a hard drive. Oh, and I nearly forgot, and it's a bit sad that I did forget this. One of the things that didn't even register, didn't even matter to me when I was watching it, because basically I was watching the clock, was the Doctor willing to kill the Master, clicking the switch as if, well, he regretted the whole not killing Davros thing. Yes, it was more Austin Powers, let's just shoot him now. Just shoot him, it makes things easier. So yeah, shoot the Master. And with that, I'll fade away, and thank you for sticking with me during these 12 weeks. And I'll be back very soon discussing more Doctor Who, but if you're only listening to the Tin Dog podcast while there's TV Doctor Who on, I'll see you very soon as well. Be seeing you. If you'd like to help the Tin Dog podcast to keep running, why not buy one of our badges, available by clicking the link or visiting eBay and typing in Tin Dog Podcast. You've been listening to the Tin Dog Podcast, available on RSS, iTunes, Stitcher, Audio Boom and Tumblr. Doctor Who and its associated works are copyright of the BBC. No infringement is intended. You can contact the show, donate, buy merchandise or find out more about my other projects by visiting the Tin Dog Podcast homepage and clicking on the links. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.